Lise Barrick in the studio today. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
First question.
Yes.
I want to know all about you. Are you from this area? Are you from?
No,
you're not originally.
I'm a Jersey girl. Can't you tell?
You're Jersey.
Ah.
Okay.
Yeah. No,
So-
I grew up in New Jersey. I came here to go to Bucknell. Only school I applied to. I applied early decision, got in, and I came. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. And then ended up staying.
And then you stayed. What was your major at Bucknell?
So I was a psych major
That
with
makes sense.
an education minor and a school psychology focus. And I ended up being a realtor.
And you ended up being a realtor. Did you see yourself ever becoming a realtor?
No.
No. It just kind of
No.
it showed its opportunity and you took it.
Well, quite honestly,
Yeah.
I had met my husband my
Yeah.
senior year. Unfortunately, not my ex-husband. But anyway, and his mom owned the company that I worked for 31 years. And at that time, I kind of just didn't really know what I wanted to do, if I wanted to go into grad school, that kind of thing. You know, I had taken my GREs and I was all prepared to apply, and then just kind of didn't know what my life looked like. So I needed a job. And I had done some work for her in her office, like unofficial, non-licensed kind of stuff, typing up appraisals. And in those days, I mean typing on a typewriter. Painful. So she said she needed somebody to run her property management department at the time. And she said, why don't you just get your license and do this for now? So I was like, okay.
Wow.
So that was my temporary job until I figured out what I wanted to do, and 31 years later, it's still my job.
Were you so in real estate when you got your license?
Yes.
Do you remember selling your first home? To
I
a
do.
family? You
It was an investment property. It was a Bucknell rental. At those times, I was or Bucknell student rental. At those times, I was running the property management department and handling all the rental properties, and so it was kind of natural that somebody who was an investor had me sell their property to another investor. And that's actually how I built up my business at that time, because here I was from New Jersey, fresh out of Bucknell, 23 years old, I guess. And I knew no one. And, real estate is a relationship business, and I knew no one. So handling the property management and getting to know all those investors, getting to know all those tenants who subsequently, many of them turned into buyers down the road. Some of those relationships I still have today. That's how I started to build my business. Eventually I got out of that. About 6 years later, I stopped handling that altogether, and I just was full-time listing and selling. And then eventually, I can't remember what year, I got my broker's license as well.
Gotcha.
So,
Were you good at it right away?
probably not.
Really?
I'm thinking,
Just because maybe you didn't know so much of the ins and outs, but you probably had a really good personality that people could trust.
I mean, I think I've always been, somebody that really gets along with people. I like people.
Yeah.
I'm very social. That's just my nature. I was involved a lot in college and other things, sorority things, and some of those were leadership positions that took me to dealing with alumni in the area. Took me to Missouri, dealing with chapter things for our sorority or national headquarters, things like that. So I was out doing a lot of those kinds of things anyway. It's just kind of my personality.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just, I guess I've always been good at forming relationships, I guess.
Yeah.
So, there's things about it that were intimidating. I was intimidated, I remember, just because I was young and I was new and I wasn't from this area. So I felt like people were going to have a perception of me as a Bucknell graduate from New Jersey. Not, who is this person, or they just weren't going to trust me, that kind of thing. But, like anything, you have to earn that trust, so I just took the time to do it.
31 years in the real estate industry.
Yes.
How has it changed, right? from then to now?
I remember, well, there was like no internet when I first started,
Right.
you know, and everything was not mimeograph, those carbon forms or whatever, that when you mistyped something on the front page and tried to erase it, you'd go to the third copy and you'd see all your mess that you had typed. We had to FedEx out contracts with little labels on them and wait for them to come back. And, it's just we'd have had an MLS book that we had to make photocopies out of and send things to people. So I remember when, the internet was coming and email started and all that kind of stuff. And it was like, this is going to be a paperless business. 20 years, this is going to be a paperless business. There's more paper than ever. So you can store it all differently and you can do electronic signatures and everything's a lot faster, much faster. But it's good. Like obviously with everything in our society now, the access to information is so much better. So that's all a lot better for the consumer. It's a lot better for the professional to get that information out and for ourselves to get information. So that's to me is one of the huge benefits of all the technology and stuff like that, is just the access to information. Society has changed. People want things right now. So you have to adjust to that and be prepared for that. Legalities have gotten, there's a lot more liability, way more liability. And again, I think that's just a reflection of our society. There's more liability in everything these days than there was 30 years ago. We just have a more litigious society. I've, knock wood, not been a part of that. Yeah. Luckily, I've been very fortunate. But you got to be careful. There's and that's a lot of the preponderance of paperwork. Every time there's an issue, there's more paper. Our state associations and national associations, there's been a lot of big recent changes that have evolved in more paperwork. I think that's. I'm trying to think of other ways that it's changed. I think it's mostly how people have changed.
People have changed. And what I noticed is that there's more real estate agents.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And I see that too. So it seems there's a lot more people getting into the real estate game. Yeah. My question is to you is, what makes a real estate agent professional?
So two things. You do see a huge influx of real estate agents since COVID. Reason being, just think, we all know what's happened to the real estate industry since COVID. Well, especially during that time, interest rates went to like an all-time low. So it was cheap, to buy a house. It was practically free money almost, if you were getting a mortgage. But inventory also significantly dropped. So prices were going up. So there was a huge perception out there that, wow, people in real estate are making a lot of money right now because the market was crazy. So, and it was easy. It is easy. It's easy when you have that kind of market to sell. There's a lot more to it that's not easy. But to get that actual sale or get that property under agreement, when all of the elements are just kind of handed there to you, when you don't have a challenging market, it's easy to do.
Right.
It's when things shift, suddenly it's not so easy. And I think a lot of people have come into the industry will be realizing that down the road. But anyway, what makes an agent professional is a lot of education. You need to get designations. Designations typically involved, and this has also changed since I've been in the business. Like, for instance, I have a certified residential specialist designation and an accredited buyer representative designation, a graduate of the Realtor Institute designation, things like that. That one I don't even think you can get anymore. But in the days when I did it, you had to travel and spend weeks studying and taking tests and stuff like that. Now a lot of this, they've changed it, and they're a little bit easier to get now. So, but, and again, that's also technology. But you need to be out there studying. You need to always be improving. This isn't just you get your license and you're keep going.
And then you're selling properties in New York City for $5 million. Right?
Yeah, right.
Isn't that how it works?
Yeah. Well, you can be licensed there if you want. Yeah, I'm not licensed there, but yeah, I can refer them. So, but you need to constantly be improving upon your craft, just like any other industry. You know, if you're in medicine, if you're in law, you know, you have to be doing continuing education. You have to be studying for accreditations that are gonna, you know, that are gonna challenge you and make you learn something. You need to constantly stay on top of the industry, what's going on. You need to stay on top of what's going on in your service area. I mean, everything, like things that are going on with county planning offices, things that are going on in the school district.
You're expected to know all this stuff.
Yeah. When FEMA comes in and changes all the flood delineations, when the insurance rules change, when probate things change. I mean, there's so many different things when, you know, title requirements change, when tax laws change. I mean, there's a lot of it, you know, and you can't be an expert in everything, but you need to be aware and you need to know where to go find the information, because your client buying or selling, they want you are their one point of contact. They want you to have answers for them. You can't know everything, but you can at least try to find the answers for them, or try to find the resource that they can talk to who is the expert. So when people ask me accounting questions or tax law questions or things like that, I know just enough to make me dangerous. Yeah. And then I say, you know what? I am not an expert in that, but I have somebody who is, and I'm going to connect you with them, and they're going to answer all your questions.
Yeah, and that's where your experience comes into play.
Absolutely.
That's where the 31 years comes into play. I think people, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think there's like this perception of like, I'm going to get into real estate, and what they see in their mind is the person putting the open house sign on the front yard, shining off the open house, cleaning the windows, opening the door and waiting for people. And they think that's what it is. But that's really...
No, that's just like, that's the, you know, that's just the beginning of of the process. And, you know, I've interviewed a lot of potential agents. And when I say like, okay, so why do you want to do this? Why do you want to be a real estate professional? Oh, I just love people. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I just love houses. I've always loved houses. Do you watch HGTV? I watch HGTV. I'm like, no, I do not watch HGTV. So, and not that they're not coming from a good place and could eventually turn out to be spectacular agents, but I'll say to them when I'm interviewing them, do you have a business plan? 9 times out of 10, they look at me like with this deer in the headlights kind of look, and they're like, what? And I'm like, do you have a business plan? And, well, no, why? You are your own business. Right. You realize that. You're an independent contractor. You are your own business. If you want to be successful, and I used to like point across the street or say, you know, see that retail store over there? If that owner doesn't have a business plan every single year, they're going to fail. Absolutely. You can't do it by the seat of your pants. I said, so if you as a professional do not have a plan for what you're doing this year, you will fail. Maybe they won't fail. Maybe by, you know, sometimes by this, you know, sometimes things just kind of work out. I mean, it may be messy and not pretty and a little disorganized. They might be okay, but that's not sustainable. So you have to approach this like business. And I will tell you that when I used to interview agents and tell them that, most of them never came back.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
and that's okay. But now they know.
And I was fine with that because I was like, they need, you know, they need an education. And I've seen lots of people get into this business and spend a bunch of money, signs, marketing, the newest, greatest, whatever, laptop camera, this, that, and the other thing, and they fail. You know, 6 months later, they're so frustrated, they're walking out the door. And I'm like, you didn't have a plan. You need to have a plan. So, and the other thing about that, like going back to, I think I sort of tangented off the professional part of it.
Right.
A lot to me is that you really need to present yourself as a professional, as an expert in your field. There can sometimes be a perception of realtors and real estate that it's not upheld with some other professions that are more respected, maybe. Mm-hmm. That's our problem because, we have fostered that. Right. That is, maybe I haven't fostered that, but it's been fostered by that. If we want to be perceived as professionals and experts in our field and a necessary resource for consumers, we need to present that and advocate that and show what our value is. So that to me is a lot of the professionalism in being a realtor, besides the education and being, that, you need to stay. A doctor is constantly studying the newest research, the newest techniques, staying up on top of it. Any field, real estate is exactly the same thing. Right. So,
you throughout your career, you eventually found a place called Remax Bridges in Lewisburg. Yes. Just to talk a little bit about that organization and how they're doing.
I love it there. Yeah. I really love it. It's the team. Ann Hilliard is the broker owner. She has created an amazing atmosphere at this company. You walk in and everybody is like super positive, super happy. Like it's a great environment. Everybody's really supportive of one another. We're building even more of a bigger team. Which I'm really excited about. Anne runs this company so I'm used to a very broker-centric type of atmosphere where it's really, the goal is for the company to have a certain bottom line and that kind of thing. And that's important. Yeah. I mean, obviously, you got to keep the doors open. You got to pay your staff. All that's really important. But Anne runs this company from a very agent-centric focus. Her goal is for her agents to all be super successful. Right. And as a result of that, she will have an successful company, but that's her second thought. It's not her. So she does everything to support and encourage those agents and make them really, really successful and flourish. And she's very hands-on with her agents. Like, what do you need? What can I do for you today? I mean, she put up a sign for me the other day. That is not her job. I said, Ann, I'm pretty sure you got more important things to do. Nope. I wanted this sign to be up. I wanted this, whatever. She just, she does stuff like that. I mean, everybody does that in their companies. I'm not saying that other people don't. I'm just saying what Ann does, and what this company does. The Remax brand, I'm so impressed with. Their oh my gosh, just all of their, what word am I looking for? Yeah, programs, assets, whatever. Right. Their marketing, their CRM, contact whatever, contract management system. CRM, everything that they have, it's really easy to use. I'm still learning it. I mean, I'm still learning it, but just everything that they have to support their agents is like, it's amazing. I'm just really impressed.
They give you the tools.
They do.
Become
they do.
Successful.
All the tools they give you, and it's just, it's stuff that doesn't matter to anybody. Well, it kind of does matter, especially if you're listing a property, because it gives you a lot of your marketing kind of stuff, and it just makes it a lot easier than what I've had in the past. So, I'm really impressed with the brand altogether, and
So we have a new president. We're going into 2025.
Yes.
So how does this, how's the housing market look going into the future here?
So, I mean,
in your professional opinion.
Yeah, well, so if I read like economist reports, and sometimes it's hard with those reports because they're looking at the country as a whole. Mm-hmm. So sometimes, when we're sitting here in rural central PA, you kind of look at those things and go, does that apply to us? Well, I don't know. Everything, or we always feel like things like it starts on the West Coast and slowly, like a year later, maybe it,
in this like 4-county area, it kind of is like even Steven, right?
It is. So the nice thing about this community that I've seen for the last 31 years is that it remains pretty stable. So when other markets are having huge, just crazy upswings, we don't necessarily have that, but when they have their real lows, people are selling properties in Florida for half of what they paid for it a couple of years ago. We don't have that either. We seem to be pretty insulated from that. So, it's good. Yeah. I mean, it's a good thing. I would like to see that there's going to be more inventory coming on the market. We'll see. Economists are predicting that the rates will go down a little bit. We'll see. Yeah. Economists are predicting that it's going to be a strong market. It's going to take a few months. Everybody sits in, this is, I always wonder, everybody sits and waits. Okay, well, we're going to wait for the new administration. Yeah. Because why? Yeah. What are you waiting for? Mm-hmm. Just, nothing happens if nothing happens. And then I also laugh at some of these, the people who are in control of what happens to things, they're all like, well, we're going to wait. What? Do something now. Why why wait to stimulate the economy? Why wait to, so, I would like to think that this administration has, and I'm not getting political because I'm not a political person, but that this administration has kind of a love of real estate. Yeah. So hopefully that could be, to our benefit. But
I'll talk to my people, see if we see if we could build a couple of houses.
You talk to your cabinet.
Yeah, I'll talk to my cabinet and see if we could build some houses for people to move into in the area.
That would be fabulous. First, you have to find the land.
The land. Gotcha.
That's
Step one.
Right.
Yeah, we'll work on that.
Yeah.
Plenty of that to go around.
Exactly.
Sure.
Yeah, that's no.
Yeah. Well, Lisa, we're gonna have a lot more to talk about next time, but I just want to say thanks for coming in and sharing your story, and I'm glad to see you.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Thank you so much.